Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Jay Leach, one of the ministers of this community, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for joining us this morning or whenever you're able to watch this service. Almost 5 years ago now, our congregation voted overwhelmingly to adopt a new vision statement. Fred Dodson, who we'll hear later in this service, was one of the co-chairs of that process, helping to guide us to a new understanding of ourselves. We are, we say in this statement, a loving, liberating religious community, inspiring spiritual, societal, and environmental transformation in the larger community, in our congregation, and in the personal lives of children, youth, and adults. As we were contemplating this statement, as we adopted it, and not infrequently since, we found ourselves asking, wondering, pondering, what is transformation? What is it that we aspire to inspire? What do we hope might happen in our spiritual lives, in the larger community, and in our relationship to the earth? What is transformation? So momentous is this question. We'll devote both today's and next Sunday's services to possible responses. Today, in words you'll hear and in words you'll pause to read for yourself, we're trying on certain ways of thinking about transformation. Here's one that gives me plenty to consider from a guy named Jim Marsden in a blog post on the National Public Radio show On Being. He writes, transformational change occurs when our foundational understanding of ourselves and the world shifts significantly. A transformation occurs when we go beyond the bounds of our current understanding and awareness. What stands out to me in that particular claim is this notion of transformation as going beyond the bounds, getting past the boundaries that define current understandings and awarenesses. As a congregation continuing to explore barriers, boundaries, and belonging, I like thinking about transformation as an experience of crossing boundaries, getting beyond the fixity of who we are as we journey toward who we want to become. It's a lot to take in. Having wrestled with this topic for weeks now, I know it won't get settled today or even by the end of next Sunday. We offer these as fodder, as prompts, as guides. I'd welcome hearing your thoughts. Please feel free to share them with me by email at jay@uuccharlotte.org. Let me hear from you. For now, however, you're in for another musical feast. The growing list of remarkable guest musicians we've included over these past virtual months. Today, we welcome back to our congregation Emma's Revolution. You'll get to meet them personally in a few minutes. For now, we'll hear them offering their song, Better Days. We have come in the light to this place, in the light, with our hearts in the light, open, wide.
come in the light to this place, in the light with our hearts, in the light open wide. We are here in the light, giving voice, in the light to the truth, in the light we divine. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the light, giving hope in the light we create, in the light better days. We are born in the dark, we are fed in the dark, we connect in the dark through the veil. We are held in the dark, we are healed in the dark, mysteries in the dark we reveal. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love in the dark, giving hope in the dark we create, in the dark better days. Time is now. We begin where we are. We begin, we have all. We begin what we need to renew. We begin to release. We begin to rebuild. We begin to believe. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days. Let us sing for today. Let us learn better ways, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days, showing love. We begin giving hope. We begin, we create. We begin better days.
What a treat, and one that we will get to enjoy again later in this service. For now, my welcome on behalf of this community is to any who may be guests, newcomers, visitors, lookers in, or lookers on. We're delighted to know that you're out there and wish we could welcome you warmly with a handshake or even a hug. For now, this will have to do. This and the opportunity to talk and get acquainted with one of our ministers or with our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. You could email Kelly at kelly@uuccharlotte.org, or you could just go right now to our Facebook page. You'll find there a post that is welcoming everyone to this service. If you'll look for my personal words of welcome or for Kelly's personal words of welcome, you can just reply there with a request for a conversation. We'll gladly arrange a time to talk in the coming days. Members, you who return so faithfully, so often to these virtual services, thank you. If you're able, I invite you now also to go to that same Facebook post where you can share warm words of welcome, both with one another and with those who are our guests on this day. To all of you, welcome.
As we light our chalice this morning, here in our home, we do so on behalf of our whole community.
May its light be a signal, drawing us together even while we are apart. May it shine beyond us, out into our larger community as a beacon to the values we hold dear.
The contemporary U.S. artist Lonnie Holley, whose works we are viewing today and whose music I introduced in a service on dancing back in December, has an early life story so astoundingly tragic that it reads like a badly written novel. The level of pain, rejection, and humiliation he experienced at a young age strains our credulity, and were it not true, would reek of hyperbolic exaggeration. It is remarkable, then, that from this fraught foundation, he grew into an acclaimed artist with pieces in major museums around the country, and a celebrated musician whose recordings have been hailed rightly as having no peers. From his very first artistic effort, Lonnie Holley has had a consistent approach. Leslie Umberger, in her essay from a major retrospective, writes, "Being a salvager, keeping his eyes to the ground for the unrecognized wealth that might lie before him, became one of Holley's most defining characteristics. This trait," she continues, "born of both physical need and spiritual salvation, would lastingly guide and govern both Holley's art and his life." Put more simply, Lonnie Holley collects other people's cast-offs, the detritus regarded as worthless, and masterfully shapes this junk into works now included in, among many others, the Smithsonian, the Whitney Museum, and New York's Museum of Modern Art. He can literally take wood scraps, a few pieces of rusting metal, a crowbar, and an old gas pump handle with some attached hosing, and meld it into a piece he calls "making something to take my place," about which he says it's about transition from one kind of workforce to another, from one kind of energy to another. For me, this 2008 piece and all of Lonnie Holley's other work are about transformation. By that I mean, Holley takes devalued things and crafts them into things of great value. In his masterful imagination and hands, found material is transformed into something remarkable and highly prized. What was disregarded becomes highly regarded. An ancient Hebrew psalmist would sing, "The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone." It is an intoned prelude to a prophetic message proclaiming, "Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill made low." That too is transformation, a word describing what happens when what has been rejected or marginalized becomes central and celebrated, when valleys are lifted and mountains brought down. So too, Mary's gospel song in Christian scripture, the one called the Magnificat. The powerful have been dethroned, and the lowly uplifted. The hungry are filled with good things, and the rich are sent away empty. In these graphically radical images in Lonnie Holley's art and in the utterly subversive tone of portions of both Hebrew and Christian scripture, we are invited into a way of thinking about, of imagining, of, could it even be hoping for, transformation in ways that distinguish it from mere change. Transformation, at least of this deeply spiritual sort, is nothing like a caterpillar metamorphosizing into a butterfly, an act that is utterly predictable. Transformation, at least of this deeply spiritual sort, is not focused on development, mere change, simple improvement. I think that's important. Transformation of this sort isn't improvement. Lonnie Holly reforms things in ways that make them wholly new. Centering the stone that was rejected or bringing down the mighty from their thrones is about drastic, dramatic change in values. Values. It's about embracing what was dismissed and about rejecting the famously prominent and powerful. Applied to our vision statement, what an audaciously seditious thing we committed to when we said that the central element in our vision would be transformation. No longer summoned simply to do our part to make things better. We've set out on a course to help make things different. Whether spiritually, societally, or environmentally, if transformation is our beacon, is our guiding star, we will live with increasing discomfort with the way things are. And with deepening intent to join those who are building with the very stones that have been rejected.
Good morning. My name is John Herrick, and I'm the Director of Music for the Unitarian Universalist Community of Charlotte. I'm here with Pat Humphreys and Sandy O of Emma's Revolution, our guest musicians for today's service. Welcome.
Great to be with you.
We are so glad to have you with us. Your songs have been sung for the Dalai Lama and praised by Pete Seeger, who was a dear friend of yours and a mentor. And I know you've shared the stage with Holly Near, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Amy Goodman, Indigo Girls, Joan Baez, the Reverend William Barber, and Bill McKibben. What keeps you fired up and going?
This is quite a time, right? So first of all, we're thrilled to be with you, and we're thrilled that there's this opportunity to be with you. We had been with you in person back in the old times, and now we get to be with you. And one of the things that keeps me fired up for now is just the connection, and in fact the increased connection that people sense as a country. I mean, we've certainly been under a lot of challenge, and we certainly had that challenge on January 6th, but this connection that we can have across the country by being connected virtually has allowed people to really come together and know that it matters what we say, what we sing, what we do to make change in this country.
Pete Seeger said, if there's going to be a world in 100 years, it's going to be because there are hundreds, thousands, maybe more of tiny little organizations in communities all over the country and all over the world that are working to meet the needs of the people in the community and to make a better world for everybody. You know, really looking outward to see what serves the larger good. And I'm really inspired by all the stories we hear, and we hear them all the time about things that are going on in communities where people just step up with such courage to make the world a better place.
Well, you certainly are doing that with your work and your music. Your latest CD, Revolution Now, has garnered top acclaim from radio stations across the country, including rating in the categories of top artist, top album, and top song. What's your next project?
Well, aside from keeping going in a bizarre time, we do have a number of songs that we haven't yet recorded. And when we record in this time, it's not just recording the audio, but we make a video, one of these shelter-in-place videos or some kind of story video. So we have a few songs that we need to record and hopefully put those together in an album as well.
Yeah, we have enough songs now. We've written a number of things during this time, and we had some songs already recorded before this time that haven't been released sort of formally.
now we sort of release songs as we go along because they're directly related to what's happening in the immediate moment. But we have a lot of sort of a backlog at the moment of things that need to be released.
And maybe I'll have Pat give me a haircut. This is pandemic hair. Maybe it can be a little shorter.
Yeah, don't have me give you a haircut. I should note that music from Emma's Revolution can be accessed and purchased through their website, emmasrevolution.com. Thank you so much for being a part of our service today and for sharing your inspirational music with us. It's a real blessing to have you with us.
It's a pleasure for us to be back in Charlotte.
Thanks.
I'm so glad that we're able to do that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I need some change. I can believe in. I need some change that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some change that's real.
I need some peace. I don't want the killing. I need some peace that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some peace that's real.
I need some power
To build my future,
I need some power
that
I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some power
that's real.
I need some hope to keep me going. I need some hope that I can't feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some hope that's real. I need some justice. I'm tired of waiting. I need some justice that I can feel. I won't give up and I won't give in. I need some justice that's real.
I need some hope that's real.
I need some power that's real.
I need some peace that's real.
I need some change that's real.
We are a loving, liberating religious community, inspiring spiritual transformation. What do we mean by spiritual transformation? I don't presume to have the answer. I do have some thoughts. I grew up in a large Baptist church, a place for which I have fond memories and deep appreciation. Years after I left both home and that particular spiritual pathway, this congregation called a new minister, one more conservative and authoritarian than my parents could tolerate. Only after a long time trying to wait him out, a miserable period during which they complained a lot, did they finally decide to leave a place in which they had invested their lives for decades. The search for a new spiritual home brought them to a smaller, warm, welcoming, and more progressive Baptist church. And to this day, my dad remains connected there. I'm delighted that my parents made this difficult decision, leaving behind what they knew to find something more suitable. It was clearly the right thing. But it wasn't really transformational. What they found in their new congregation was something that felt familiar, more aligned with their own more moderate perspectives. It was different. It was a big change for them. But it wasn't really a transformation. Within our own congregation and throughout Unitarian Universalism are those of us who found this liberating faith through one kind of search and another. Some, having grown up with no particular relationship at all to any kind of organized religion, have found to their surprise a congregation to which they can gladly commit. Some, having grown up in another religious tradition, have found to their delight a religion rooted in values quite unlike what they left behind. For many, this is transformational. That is, it represents a dramatic shift in values, in choices, in how and where time and energy and resources are invested. James Baldwin wrote in his ironically titled essay, Nothing Personal, of those times in life when we face the question, out of what raw material will we build a self again? Life as we know it just isn't working, is stifling or deadening or joyless or otherwise broken. Baldwin believed that the courageous question, out of what will I build my life again, is essential. Wrote that it must live vividly in our imaginations. You've been there. I've heard your stories. Held captive to an addiction until you courageously committed to rebuild your life out of the tools and techniques offered in recovery. Slogging through your days in a soul-killing profession until you courageously committed to rebuild your life in a dramatically new vocation. Captive to a relationship that was damaging, destructive, until you courageously committed to rebuild your life in ways that honored your better self. Confined to a socially constructed closet, framed in by fear, until you courageously committed to claim your truest identity, who you really are. Some such, let's call them what they are, transformations, entail something less obvious, more interior. letting go of a life driven by the pursuit of more and bigger, defined by the acquisition of things and the accumulation of wealth, and courageously committing to rebuild a life aligned with a whole new set of values. Letting go of a life defined by external judgment, by assessments that don't comport with your values, and courageously committing to rebuilding a life rooted in an embrace of what really matters to you. Letting go of unconscious, unreflected participation in all of the trappings of patriarchal, heteronormative, cisnormative, white supremacist culture, in ways that compel those of us who have benefited from such inequities to courageously commit to rebuilding a much more aware life in which we listen more and hold forth less, ask more and tell less, accept critique more and defend ourselves less, follow more and lead less. These kinds of things are, for us, spiritual, not because they are otherworldly or mystical. These things are spiritual because they are rooted in our deepest values, in what we hold most dear. And when what we hold most dear really shifts, really transcends old boundaries, really includes rejecting old ways of being, and, as we now say, cultivating new, courageous connections, these are truly spiritual transformations. Out of what raw material will I build myself again? Out of what raw materials will we build ourselves again? Toward what kind of spiritual transformation might we now move?
I'm Fred Dotson, and I've been a member of the UUCC since 2002. I've served on the stewardship team and the board of trustees. Several years ago, I was asked to lead the vision steering team with my friend, Michael Elder. Our charge was to help develop a new vision for the UUCC to be approved by the congregation. After many conversations, we gathered in June of 2016 to approve our new vision. That statement reads as follows: we are a loving, liberating religious community, inspiring spiritual, societal, and environmental transformation in the larger community, in our congregation, and the personal lives of children, youth, and adults. But what is transformation? I can't answer that question for you, but I can offer you my perspective. I don't think that there's a perfect answer. But when I think about transformation, I consider eliminating and transcending boundaries, both real and perceived. For example, I followed the amazing career of the Kenyan marathoner Eliud Kipchoge for some time now. He is considered by many to be the greatest distance runner ever, but he's also a humble and a very thoughtful man. Many have contended over the years that no one would ever run fast enough to break the perceived 2-hour marathon barrier, but Kipchoge didn't believe this. He said many times publicly that he thought it was imaginary, and one day he would complete a marathon in less than 2 hours, and that others would soon follow his lead. He would show the way to transformative change in his sport by challenging that limitation. On October 12, 2019, he staged an unofficial race to prove his point. After averaging 4 minutes and 34 seconds per mile for 26.1 miles, he crossed the finish line at 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds. So what's the point? What was that great runner trying to say to us, those of us who can't imagine doing what he did? I think Kipchoge is the embodiment, the transformation. He advocates pushing our perceived barriers, pushing them aside by effort and by change in perspective. I think that's why he ran that race. What if our 2016 vision process challenged our perceived barriers? For example, can't we build both a sanctuary within our walls and work for transformative change within the larger community? I think that's what we voted to do, and I think that's what we're doing. But if we are transformed, how will we know? I don't think it comes without effort. I believe transformation requires action and it requires our attention. I'm not suggesting anyone break down barriers like Kipchoge. None of us are that fast. But think about it this way. Not everything is easily measured. Some things are just felt. The earth moved beneath our feet regularly. Tectonic plates shift frequently, and we feel nothing. Sometimes we notice those earthquakes. We have to rely on seismic instruments to detect the earth's movements. But we don't have such devices to sense transformative moments, but we do have our own awareness and mindfulness to help us detect change. I look forward to the day when we can gather again, when we can sit in silence and contemplate what transformative changes have occurred in our lives and in our community. Until then, I encourage us to continue to step outside and into the larger community and to continue to challenge barriers and bring about transformative change. Thank you.
The life of our community extends beyond these virtual services. Visit our website or view our electronic newsletter currents to learn more about what we are offering in the coming days. The life of this community extends into each of the lives of our members in times of both joy and of sorrow. We rejoice with Shannon Bradley on the occasion of her daughter's wedding, and with Joyce and Ron Kelly Kramer on the birth of a grandchild. We hold with love John Kasichi in concern for the health of his sister. And on this day, we send special prayers to Katie Reidenauer and her family in deep concern over the health of her sister. We hold with love and we join in sympathy with Kurt Merkel and Catherine O'Grady and their family in the death of Kurt's father, with Aaron Studi and Chip Dickerson and their family in the death of Aaron's grandfather, and with Jenny Sullivan and her family in the death of her nephew. May the lighting of our candles on this morning signal our love, our support, and our concern for one another. We are connected also in shared responsibility to support and sustain our community. It is your financial contributions that make what we do possible. Please use one of our electronic portals to make a special gift today. And thank you for your continued support. A large crowd gathered on that December day in 1955, overflowing both the sanctuary and the basement auditorium of the Holt Street Baptist Church, located in a black working-class neighborhood in Montgomery, Alabama. Loudspeakers were set up outside the handsome brick building for an audience that swelled into the thousands. Alongside them were reporters, photographers, television crews. The gathering opened with singing. A prayer was offered. The 34th Psalm from Hebrew Scripture was read. The face of the Lord is against evildoers, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. It was just days after the humiliating arrest of Rosa Parks. Those gathered were crushed in spirit. They knew the troubles about which the psalmist had written were in that tense moment among the brokenhearted, had first-hand experience with the evildoers. So when a small, barely 5'7" in his Sunday best shoes, and young, still years from his 30th birthday, local preacher climbed into the Holt Street pulpit, they listened for a hope rooted in their faith. Martin Luther King Jr.'s opening words on that difficult December evening down in Alabama made it clear why they had assembled. We are here this evening for serious business. King went on to declare that they had gathered because a problem had existed over endless years. He was, of course, referring not just to a segregated bus system, but to a whole culture that was rooted in white supremacy. There comes a time, King said, when people get tired of being trampled over by the iron feet of oppression. There comes a time, my friends, when people get tired of being plunged across the abyss of humiliation, where they experience the bleakness of nagging despair. There comes a time when people get tired of being pushed out of the glittering sunlight of life's July and left standing amid the piercing chill of an alpine November. There comes a time. The brokenhearted, the crushed in spirit on that long ago night, didn't need that system of oppression to be improved. They didn't need help making the oppressive social order better. They needed it to be dismantled, to be destroyed. The mountain of oppression made low in the prophet's metaphor. White supremacy dethroned, as Mary's Magnificat has it. They did not need to be unified with the evildoers. They needed, as the psalm they had read made clear, they needed the remembrance of the evildoers to be cut off from the earth. If that mountain of oppression could ever be brought low, then in its place, what valley might arise? How easy it would have been simply to have said, love. Let love take the place of oppression. The King made clear that love alone would never suffice. Oppression, he said, needs to be transformed into justice, which he calls love in calculation. Justice, he said, is love correcting that which revolts against love. Justice is love correcting that which revolts against love. Asked to categorize what King was calling for, wouldn't we agree that his was a summons to societal transformation? A completely new form of things, a whole new social order rooted in a whole new set of values, not just distinct from segregation and white supremacy, but in complete, in vehement opposition to them. Judith A. Neal, in her essay, offers her own notion of transformation by By transformation, we mean a discontinuous leap forward in consciousness, a paradigm shift. Discontinuous. It's a break. It's a shift. It's something dramatic. Down through the more than 6.5 decades, the words of that young Black Baptist preacher still sound in ways that are difficult, discomforting, discontinuous. King's radical call for justice is about something more, much more than simple unity, merely making things better. His was a still unanswered call for transformation. When we return to this topic next week, we'll reflect on what this might mean for us as a congregation. For now, a couple of questions to ponder if we're really going to commit to transformation, to spiritual, societal, and environmental transformation. First, what or who in us, among us, or beyond us needs to be dethroned, brought down, sent away empty, struck even from our remembrance? Then, what or who in us, among us, and beyond us needs to be lifted up, filled? What or who now at the margins needs to be centered?
care. We look forward to seeing you again.
I invite you now to join me in a time of meditation and aspiration, the opportunity to breathe deeply together. I invite you to settle in, to slow your breathing, and to close your eyes. Spirit of life, of love, Spirit of justice, stir us, move us, disturb us, awaken us, unsettle us. May we find new resolve, new imagination, new hope, and courage in abundance, that we might welcome the passing away of old things, so that a whole new order might arise within us, among us, and beyond us. May it, we pray, may it be so. Go now, my friends, with courage. Go asking anew, pondering more deeply, probing and questioning what needs to pass away and what needs to come into being, what needs to be brought low and what needs to be uplifted. What stone heretofore rejected might with transformation become the cornerstone of a whole new way. Go, my friends, with courage.
Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Sigamos adelante, siempre adelante, siempre adelante, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Amaremos con pasión. Siempre con pasión. Siempre con pasión, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna reach across our borders, reach across our borders, reach across our borders. Never turning back, never turning back. fronteras, siempre sin fronteras, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna reunite the family, reunite the family, reunite the family, never turning back, never turning back. Familias reunidas, siempre reunidas, siempre reunidas, sin volver atrás, sin volver atrás. Gonna keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, 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 never turning back. We love you.